A boring typical sequel. Are they trying to confuse us again? During the past The Game Awards, Hideo Kojima finally interrupted a series of boring teasers and announced Death Stranding 2. True, while this is a working title, it can later be replaced with another one. The display of the game became one of the loudest and most interesting at the entire ceremony. Kojima again forced the players to delve into the details and try to understand what will happen in the game. Of course, there is no such heated discussion as during the announcement of the first part, but the game designer threw some food for thought. We have carefully studied the trailer and will try to disassemble it to answer some questions. Note that it is difficult to explain absolutely all the fragments, since Kojima himself did not comment on the trailer in any way and did not begin to explain the details. Our analysis will be based on all the information available from the first Death Stranding. Recall the finale of the first Death Stranding. In the first Death Stranding, the Bridge Baby, BB, device played an important role. These are premature babies in a special capsule that help people locate creatures called creatures, BT. They pose a great threat to people. With one of these BBS, the main character Sam was warned throughout the game, but in the finale there was an important plot twist. It is important to note that it is impossible to extract children from capsules, since their chance of surviving in this case is very small. At the end of the game, Sam was ordered to destroy his BB, because the baby was in poor condition, but the hero got too attached to the baby and did not do it. He even named BB after his unborn daughter, Lou. Instead of destroying it, he removed the child from the capsule and miraculously brought him back to life. Judging by the ending, Sam decided to keep the baby for himself and raise a normal person out of him. What happened after that is unknown. After completing the story, players are free to explore the world, and the plot is no longer affected. What was shown in the trailer? The video begins with the humming of the main musical theme of the BB, which sounded throughout the passage. Then they show children's toys and the child himself, who is held in her arms by Frigil, performed by Lea Seydoux. At one point, something goes wrong and Fragile tries to escape with the child from the shelter, but she is stopped. Then the protagonist of the first part, Sam, emerges from the shadows. It is noticeable that his hair has changed and turned gray. Perhaps the hero just decided to change the image. After that, a large car appears from the ground, which, by the way, was not in the first part. Fragile is standing next to Sam. She tells him that it is time to start a new journey. Jump into the past? New villain? We understand in detail. Now let's try to get to the bottom of the matter and understand everything in more depth. At the beginning of the trailer, in addition to children's toys, we were also shown a group of people in red suits moving in one direction and carrying a coffin. It is quite possible that in it is one of the antagonists of the first part, whom they will either try to bring back to life, or go to bury. Most of all, this group is similar to a cult. Globally, there were two antagonists in the game. The first is Higgs, played by Troy Baker. He led a terrorist group that threatened all survivors. The second villain can be considered Amelia. She is the extinction factor who caused all the problems in the world of Death Stranding. The coffin can contain both Higgs and Amelia. Next, we are shown no less interesting shots. Fragile is seen playing with the child. This may be Lou saved by Sam, but there are several inconsistencies. First, Fragil's body in its normal form. It is not corrupted by temporal rain, which, when hit, speeds up the time of everything it hits. In the first Death Stranding, the entire body of the heroine, except for the head, is very old, and in the trailer we see the usual Fragile. There are two options here. Or in the first half of the video, we were shown a fragment from the past of Fragile, and the child in her hands, respectively, is not Lou. The second option, after the events of the original, people came up with a way to eliminate the effects of rain. Thus, the heroine regained her former appearance of the body. Also a plus to the theory that events still occur in the past will be the ending of the fragment with the chase. Fragile tries to escape from the persecutors, but she is wounded, and the child is killed. How can you know that he is dead? This is evidenced by the essence of BT that appeared in the capsule. We saw something similar in the first Death Stranding. If everything that happens looks really the way it looks, then the first half we see a fragment from the life of Fragile. Perhaps we will be told about the drama of the heroine and devote time to her past. If what is shown in the first half of the trailer refers to the present, then between the events of the first and second Death Stranding, about a year and a half passed. This is indicated by the height indicator in feet. Based on the handprints, the baby in the video is just over 2 feet tall. Typically, this growth is achieved when the baby is 1.5 years old. Next, we are shown for the first time Sam, whose hair has changed. They turned gray, but it shouldn't have been long between the two games. As you know, gray hair appears not so much because of age, but because of other reasons. Perhaps something critical happened to the hero between the events of Death Stranding. There was some terrible situation that greatly affected him. Some are already suggesting that we were shown a different Sam altogether. Fans turn to their favorite comparisons, the eyes. Then a new car is shown, which was not in the first part. Probably, scientists have invented some new means of transportation around the world. Fragile in the final shots, by the way, in her clothes, which she wore in the original. After all, a new character suddenly appears in the video with a guitar in his hands. Outwardly, he resembles Amelia, whom we have already mentioned earlier, but as soon as the hero takes off the mask, you can see a small stubble under it, and the face itself as a whole resembles the appearance of Troy Baker. He, recall, played the terrorist Higgs, one of the villains of the original game. There is a possibility that somehow Amelia and Higgs were entwined into one entity. This character can become the new villain that Sam will have to stop. By the way, Baker's participation in the game is confirmed, and he is unlikely to play the same Higgs again. Yes, and Kojima probably wants to surprise with unexpected moments. The very last frame shows the BB capsule, in which you can see the particles of the creature. The tentacles are also clearly visible. It's hard to say what's going on in this frame. If we assume that the events of the first half of the trailer take place in the present, then it is likely that Lou was really killed and she became the thing. Sam himself speaks about what is in Lou's capsule, calling the child by name. It is possible that this is an ordinary nightmare of Sam. There was a lot of that in the first part. Then everything is much easier than it seems. What is the result? It is very difficult to understand exactly what is happening now. We only have facts from the first Death Stranding, conjecture and logic. In the end, things can turn out to be completely different. Do not forget that Hideo Kojima is responsible for the development of the project, who likes to confuse players and present the obvious from a different angle. Perhaps we are all just being led by the nose. In addition, it is embarrassing that Death Stranding 2 is a working temporary title, which will be changed later. It is possible, knowing the love of the Japanese developer to mock the fans, that in fact this is not such a classic sequel as it seems. Do I need to remind you that Kojima always surprised me with something? Metal Gear Solid 2 was supposed to be an ordinary sequel, but in the end, the main character turns out to be a completely new hero. Metal Gear Solid 3 is suddenly a Cold War prequel. Metal Gear Solid 4, Snake suddenly began to age dramatically. Metal Gear Solid 5 is about a clone of Big Boss, although here Kojima was figured out long before the game was released. Death Stranding 2 is being made for PS5. Unfortunately, Kojima did not even give an approximate release date for the game. It is unlikely that the game will be released before 2024. Let's hope that boring teasers through posters have already ended and only high-quality marketing is ahead. The game will also be released on PC, there is no doubt about it. The main question is when. So far, The shortest gap between a release on PS5 and PC is 6 months, The Last of Us remake, but a much more likely option is a year or two after launch on PS5.